Hello and welcome to Lauren.live. Today's topic is something I am incredibly passionate about that has changed my life and has changed so many people's lives. I'm going to go out there and say probably millions of people. I don't know, but definitely thousands, potentially into the million. I don't know, but it is something that I personally have had great success with, and many others have as well. Today, we are going to be talking about celery juicing. Some of you may have heard about celery juicing. It's become pretty popular. Some of you have maybe never heard of it, and you're thinking, what the heck? Celery juicing? Ew. Or why? Why is it so special? It is a phenomenal juice that is incredibly healing to our bodies down to the cellular level. We have a lot to cover, so I want to dive in. I want to start this episode with some recognition to Anthony Williams. Some of you may know him through his brand Medical Medium. He is on social media. Instagram is actually how I found him. You can find him at Medical Medium. And he has books on Amazon and the library and probably anywhere else that sells major, books, published books. You can find his books. They're Medical Medium. He has several different ones. I have his celery juice. Here we go, actually. I have the celery juice book in front of me. I'll post a picture of it on my Instagram when this podcast is live. The most powerful medicine of our time, healing millions worldwide. Okay, so we're clearing that up, hearing it from the book itself, Millions Worldwide. So he's a #1 New York Times best-selling author of Life-Changing Foods and Liver Rescue. Those were some of his first and major books where he's found a lot of success in helping others. But we're going to stick to the celery juicing. He's got tons of other foods and other concoctions that are healing people, but we're going to stick to that today. And the reason I'm giving him so much credit is because, of course, he didn't invent celery by any means, but he really is one of the first to worldwide use celery to heal people that he's seen, people that he knew in his life. You can go on to his podcast. He has a podcast and listen to the background on how he got started with this. He was at a very young age. He's been given a spiritual gift of being able to actually diagnose people through what he calls a spirit of compassion. I won't dive too much into all of that. That's probably a whole nother show. But if you're curious on him, look him up. Follow his Instagram. Go on to his podcast. You can find a lot of information on him and how he heals people, but he has a true gift of he's able to pick up on people's illnesses, and he was given the tip basically from a spiritual source that celery juice is one of the most healing things on earth, and I can attest to it. It really is. So the reason I'm giving him so much credit in the beginning of this is because everything that I know about it, I learned from him, from his Instagram page that I've been following for years. I have watched stories upon stories of people healing, before and after pictures, testimonials of people that have healed from celery juice because of him. So that is why I'm giving him so much credit. He is really the one that has gotten it out into the world, information about it out to the world to heal people. So I wanted to start with just giving Anthony Williams a ton of credit, and it'd be my dream one day to interview him. So maybe as we're ramping up one day and I've got some podcasts and guests under my belt, maybe he'll come on. So I am putting that into the universe. I would love to have Anthony Williams on my podcast, just because I think he is such a gift and has so much information that can help so many of us. So wanted to read a quote. It's in the very beginning of his book. For the billions on the planet who have suffered with any kind of health challenge, this one belongs to you. It is your right to be heard, be taken seriously, and have the freedom to heal. Anthony Williams, Medical Medium. And I'm sorry, I might have been saying Anthony Williams but it's actually Anthony Williams. So I correct myself there. Sorry about that. I refer to him usually as medical medium, but I did want to use his name. So anyways, let's get into it. Celery. Most of us have grown up thinking it's a vegetable that you dip into ranch. It's served with your buffalo, wings. It's something you put peanut butter and raisins on as a kid. Ants on a log. Nothing special. It's celery. It's kind of crunchy, watery, doesn't have many calories. Big, big whoop, right? Well, it turns out it's actually not a vegetable. It's a herb. And that would explain why has such healing properties. We all know that herbs have been used in Chinese medicine and now in modern medicine, even alternative medicine, obviously, uh, for a long time in teas and in supplements. Herbs are used all the time and have been for pretty much probably the existence of humanity. So right there is something. If you learn one thing, you'll learn that celery is actually an herb, and uh, that's why it is so extremely healing. Um, and you have to juice it in order to truly get the healing components. And I'll talk about how you do that later. I'll go through a quick run through of some of the rules that go along with it to get the best effect in healing from it. But you do have to juice it. I mean, the amount of celery you'd have to eat to get the same benefit your jaw would fall off. I mean, you wouldn't be able to eat a whole, half not a stalk, but a bundle of celery, if you will. So one, it's just not feasible to eat the amount that you need. Two, you really need the juice, not the fiber. And I know that sometimes people say that's such a waste to juice it and throw all that fiber away. Well, unfortunately, the fiber it interacts with the components in the juice itself. Think of it as you're extracting. It's like a tonic. Same thing with tea, right? Like you strain all the little leaves and stuff in the little bag out. You just want the liquid from it. So it does have to be in liquid form. You can't blend it and get you will not get the same results. So let's just clear that up. But it does have to be the juice. So it has to be in that concentrated form. And it is truly incredible what it has done for so many people, myself included. Before I go into how it's changed my life, I'll just tell you a little bit about it. The idea, basically, my medical medium's theory, and I believe this the more and more that I'm learning about health and researching it on my own from different sources as well. I think most of this country, there's someone at some point or constantly has a chronic illness. And that could go from anything from acne problems to autoimmunes, hormonal imbalances, blood pressure, diabetes. I mean, you name the disease, it doesn't matter what it is. Someone has had something at some point. Most of us have had strep throat, even if we're just once when you were a kid, or Epstein-Barr virus, which within that virus lives the herpes family, right? So you have cold sores, chickenpox, shingles, all types of different things. Once you have one of those viruses, it's dormant in your body. So think about it like this. You have chickenpox as a kid, you beat the virus, you're good to go. Well, that virus is dormant in your body now. And then let's say, you're 60, 70 years old. Shingles often comes out. It can come out in younger people, but more often than not in older people. It comes out in stressful situations. You're 60, 70 years old, you get shingles. It's the same virus of chickenpox. So it comes out into your body decades later. That was inside your body dormant the whole time. So same thing with strep. You have strep throat. That's in your body, deep within your body. And most of the time it'll never cause you, too much harm until it does. And then there's a symptom that will come out. And a lot of the time, modern medicine may not be able to correlate that to the viruses or bacteria in your body. They may not correlate that it's from strep, or you have a really weird rash that comes out or something in it. That actually happened to me. I got a horrible full body rash, and we diagnosed it as pityriasis rosea. I'm probably saying that wrong, rosea. It was awful, and it lasted for weeks. And I was able to get it diagnosed after seeing a couple doctors, and I believe that I have had and maybe still do have Epstein-Barr present that has given me symptoms over my life, and I've been lucky to pretty much heal those through celery juicing. So I can even prove that I had that dormant in my body and it came out because that rash is linked to the Epstein-Barr virus. And I had major fatigue problems, and that's one of the, you know, big signs of having Epstein-Barr is fatigue, undiagnosed fatigue. No other symptoms, I mean, no other things that doctors or anyone could diagnose. Why did I have that fatigue? I was getting enough sleep. I took my vitamins. I was healthy. I was young. I didn't have any other issues. We took blood draws and panels across the board. Everything was normal. There was nothing that they could find that was explaining why I was having this fatigue. And I'm not talking about I need a nap at 2 p.m. I'm a little bit tired. This was like horrible, horrible fatigue that affected my life. Every day I would get it at some point, and I just had the worst brain fog. My eyes were just that heavy feeling of your whole head. Almost you feel off balance, like you might fall over. I mean, it was awful, awful, low, low energy, just the worst possible fatigue. And it started to affect my life. I mean, I'd be at social events and I didn't feel my best. And, I was really worried about myself. And so, um, people are living with things like this all the time, undiagnosed in this country. And it's heartbreaking. This is just one story, and it's mild compared to what other people are experiencing. So I share my experience, but just to make it real and an example. But I mean, there are people that have so many ailments that are undiagnosed. And that in itself is just so frustrating because how are you supposed to treat yourself when you don't even know what you have and why you have it? People that have chronic acne, horrible cystic acne. This is the problem in our country is I really do. And I should actually, before I say this, modern medicine is wonderful. We have come very far. Okay. I all for science. Let's just make this clear so I don't get any haters DMing me, pinging me. Modern medicine is amazing. Okay. We've come so far. It is incredible. I think its strength is in helping in catastrophic situations. It saves people's life all the time. I think in repairing surgically, orthopedic, all the things they can do with, replacing your bone with a titanium rod or knee replacements, or, I mean, I'm going, specifics, but like a brain surgery, removing tumors. I mean, there's incredible heart transplants now, or liver transplants, amazing things. Do not get me wrong. It's fantastic. I think the day-to-day care, though, we have a long way to go. And luckily, medical medium and a lot of other natural, doctors, and he's not a doctor, but other natural healers or doctors are waking up and using more natural remedies. So I will say that in a positive manner. There are a ton of things coming out now where people are becoming more conscious to healing foods and how our bodies work and things like that. But typically, let's say, a lot of our modern medicine and in the past, it's been more of a band aid approach. And I can attest to that. When I went in for the fatigue or I had acid reflux problems, they tend to a lot of doctors will just prescribe you something. But why am I having the acid reflux? Why am I having the fatigue? I don't know, but we're going to give you this. It'll make you feel better. So it heals the symptom. It doesn't heal the disease. This is an issue because one, you're pumping yourself then with drugs, which have side effects and aren't really great for our bodies. And I'm not saying you shouldn't be on a drug if you have a major issue and you need to have it to survive and function and there's nothing else that's helped until you're trying to figure it all out. Like, yes, it can help you, can save your life. But there's a lot of over prescribing, and I was able to treat myself celery juice and get off of the medication for acid reflux. So There are many cases where the person doesn't need the drug. So, it's just heartbreaking to think about all these people that are still suffering, even with symptoms, with medications, and they have all these complications from the medication, side effects, and it's just awful long term on your liver and your organs and your body to be taking, harsh medications. So I think we need to continue to invest in things like celery juicing, eating more fruits and vegetables, obviously the basics, exercising, trying to eat organic when you can, avoiding chemicals and pesticides, hormones, all the things that are making us so sick. This is hard to cram all into one episode. We can touch on some of this stuff again, trying to make it quick for you guys, but just as kind of a summary here, like there's so many. This is why I wanted to do this episode. And this is why I tell everyone that I meet about celery juicing. I've gotten my sister-in-law on it. I've gotten a neighbor on it. I have people asking me all the time that start it and stop it because it's a big commitment. But I've gotten some requests to do this, and I will always share my results because it's helped me and I know it's helped others and it can help you. So I'm speaking directly to you. If you have an ailment or a disease, or you don't feel your best, or someone in your family or your friend group that's suffering, I guarantee you know someone. This is to prove of the America's, illnesses and how unhealthy we are. I guarantee that you or someone has some issue, some health problem, whether it's minor or major. Am I right? I mean, whether, again, it could be acne, eczema, Crohn's disease, some form of an autoimmune, high blood pressure, migraines, ringing in your ears, Hashimoto disease, thyroid, hormonal problems, imbalances, um, depression, mental illness, anxiety. I'm going to be careful with the mental illness because that's a whole nother box to open. But I mean, let's just stick with things that minor, not major, because major does that require psychiatric evaluation. I'm not going to go there and be responsible for saying that this can fix that. But let's just say minor to everyday, like low grade, which is hard to define what that means, but uh, daily kind of anxiety. I had some of that in the past too. Just nervousness and some depressive qualities, things like that. You can read the book. Medical Medium talks all about all of this, all of the diseases. I mean, you would just be surprised at how many different conditions celery juice has helped treat. And I want to, again, I'm being very careful when you talk about health and all of that stuff. I'm not a doctor. Medical Medium is not a doctor. I'm not prescribing this to you. If you have a serious autoimmune, you need to work with either a trusted doctor or a alternative medicine professional. I'm just sharing what's helped me and what's helped many. Everyone has a different story on how they want to treat their illnesses, or how they want to heal. But if you do decide you want to try celery juicing, be careful if you do have a serious condition. Mine were not serious enough that I felt like I needed a professional. I was able to start it on my own and monitor it, and everything was safe. If you have something that's very serious and you're on a medication right now, do not just drop the medication and start the celery juicing. You need to do it correctly. You need to phase out your medications, or you need to do it with a medication. You need to have a doctor observing this. So I want to be super clear. I don't want anyone to go and do something that's going to make things worse for you. Everyone's different, but um, just sharing my experience. And if you have minor things that are bothering you, getting, migraines here and there, you have some acne problems, you have fatigue, things that you're not necessarily urgently like racing to the doctor for and having like, you know, I don't know, just you get my point. Your condition or the person that you care about's condition. Be careful with how you treat it. But if you feel like you just don't feel your best and there's something in your life, acid reflux or little things that, could be better, skin problems, eczema, things here and there, this is who I'm talking to, where you could start the celery juicing. But if you've got a major issue, please do work with your doctor on this if you try celery juice. So my point is, after rambling on and on, we live in a nation where there are millions of people that are sick or will be sick. This isn't just about treating what you have, it's also about prevention. This is a preventative natural medicine, if you will, alternative medicine, call it what you want. So it's no surprise. I mean, I don't know the current stats. I just listened to a podcast today, actually, that I'll be sharing on my page. That was incredible, but was talking about 80% of, adults at some point or people really get cancer. I mean, that is such a high number. And, it's just heartbreaking knowing that so many people are suffering. And that's why this is such a gift that medical medium has given us, is a way to heal naturally. It is possible for so many, especially if you can catch whatever issue you have when it's young, if you will. That's why earlier when I said if you have a major problem, if it's already developed into something very serious, then you do need to monitor that with your doctor. But if you're beginning to get some symptoms, this is definitely a time to start. Or if you feel healthy and you're just kind of like, I don't need a juice, I'm good. Likely in your lifetime, something will pop up later in life as we age, right? So start it now. And if anything, just do it for more energy. It's an excellent natural source of energy. I don't drink any caffeine. I haven't for years. I get a small amount when I have my dark chocolate occasionally, but I don't drink caffeine and I have more energy than I've ever had. Remember, I had fatigue problems, the opposite of energy. I feel so good and have so much energy, and it's because of celery juice. It's the only thing I changed in my life. So, um, it is incredible. So you can drop if you feel like you have a caffeine addiction, you don't feel good, you're having highs and lows. This is something to think about. Celery juice right there. So it's not just if you have an illness or an ailment. It can be for energy, it can be for overall health. And then also, this is a major motivation for me and my husband to continue celery juicing. We have not been sick with a cold or a flu since we started celery juicing about 2.5 years ago. That's pretty major in itself. I mean, there's some people that don't get sick very often, but say the general population to not have some cold or flu for over 2.5 years, that's probably on the lower side of the scale. I mean, I've always been a healthy person, but at least once a season I'd get a cold. At least I haven't had a flu for a long time, but at least I would get a one or two colds a season. I think that's fairly normal. So that in itself, just to keep viruses away, I mean, that in itself is enough, in my opinion, to do it. So just to kind of give you reasons of why I did it: acid reflux, keep cold and flu away, and help my fatigue. It's also helped clear some of my mild eczema that I would get now and then. So real life example, cleared all of them. It's been a really cool journey to watch. And I want to explain. You're probably wondering, like, how is this? How is celery? Why can't I juice a cucumber? Why can't I juice carrots and celery? Why can't I juice, do a green smoothie or a green juice? There's so many juicing and juices out there, right? It's become a very trendy topic and a trendy thing. You go to the juice press juicery and you get your carrot, ginger, lemon tonic shot, or you go and get all these different combinations of juices. They're all great, by the way. Anything where you're consuming vegetables and fruits and whole foods is excellent. So do not get me wrong. Keep juicing, keep drinking all the things that are healthy, and eat your vegetables and fruits. Specifically to heal yourself, though, celery juice is the one. That's the jackpot of all the produce and herbs out there. Specifically, it's celery juice. The others have great components and minerals for healing your body in other ways, but to specifically heal ailments, you need that concentrated celery juice, and I'll tell you why. The green stalked, what we used to think of as a vegetable, now we know it's an herb, is packed with vitamin C. And it's even more powerful than the vitamin C in an orange. And you can read this in medical mediums books. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of research by science on this stuff because when has, celery juice been promoted by your doctor? I mean, unless you're going to a natural doctor, probably not. Again, you're going to probably be getting a prescription or be told to do different things, what foods to avoid, but not necessarily what foods to consume. So it's not a ton of research other than, that's one thing people have criticized. I've seen in comments on his Instagram page, or people even to some of my like posts in the past, or have talked to me specifically. There's not a lot of research behind celery juice. Well, the research is all the people that have healed. Go on his page, follow it. I followed it for actually a couple months before I began, and I just wanted to see, is this legit? I just watch. You go to his stories on Instagram right now. I don't know, there's probably 30 a day of just everyone, and he reposts them. I've posted and he's reposted me. Just real people. This isn't making it up. My life has changed. These are stories of my life has changed. I have so much energy. I've dropped coffee, or, people, I've healed my acne, my constant acne I've had for years, and they'll show before and after pictures. And I've lost all this weight naturally. I'm so feeling so good. I haven't been sick in years. I mean, you go for yourself. You don't need to listen to me. Well, I want you to listen to me, of course, but I'm saying, hear me out, but go to the page and see for yourself. That's what I did. For 2 months or so, I was like, what is going on with this? Let me just kind of watch and learn more about how you do it and how it works, and, you know, listen to some people's stories. And I just kept seeing all these jazz people, and couldn't say enough good things about it. And I was like, okay, I'm going to give this a whirl. And I just did it. I went to Bed Bath and Beyond with my 20% coupon. I bought my juicer. I invested in a really nice juicer. He recommends in his book, you can find it, or on his podcast or page, he'll sometimes talk about different juicers. I have an Omega juicer. It's a cold press juicer, and it is probably the middle tier as far as price goes. But it's a really good one. They actually have a specific celery juice juicer. Now I actually wish I had that. It's more efficient than mine. I've had mine for like like I said, 2.5 years, but it's become so popular that they've actually made a juicer specifically for celery. And I will probably buy that next time when I'm ready to. But it is an investment. It is a commitment, but I did it. I bought the juicer, bought all my celery, and I haven't stopped since. So, and I did it all through my pregnancy. I do it for my husband and I, every day, and sometimes every other day. I have to be honest, when I was pregnant, I wasn't feeling good in parts of it. It was harder to take down when you're not feeling your best, but I did manage to get it down about every other day. And I'll never, I don't see myself ever really stopping. So that shows you, for me, it's worth it to have energy and not feel fatigued all the time. Quality of life to me is so important. I'll talk about it. I've talked about it already, and I'll talk about it again and again on this podcast. That's one of my key components. My key pillars is health. Health is so important. One, we want to feel good and have fun and enjoy our life. If you don't feel well, it's miserable. It's suffering. Two, I mean, we all want to live as long as possible and have a great experience while we're here. And I mean, who wants to be on medications? They're expensive. They have side effects. It's annoying to have to take something. I mean, the list goes on. There's so many reasons to want to be healthy, to live long and be in your children and your grandchildren's life, or be in your partner's life. I don't need to convince you. I think we can all agree health is so important, and we need to take more time in investing in that. And so when people ask me, like, how do you have the time to do this? I don't have the time to do this. We all make time for what's important. And I will not criticize you if you stop listening now, or you don't want to do celery juice. It's too much time. But for me, it's so worth it. And it's not really that much time. It probably takes me 10 minutes. I'm pretty sure we scroll on our phones for more than 10 minutes at a time, right? So I'm not trying to make you feel guilty, but if you're thinking about doing it, it's worth it. I do things to speed up the process for myself so I have time. And there's the occasional day I don't have time, and I'll do it the next day, every other day. That's better than nothing. If you can only do it 3 times a week, it's better than nothing. But really, if you can try to do it every day, every other day, that's the best. Um, I typically will dishwash all the parts instead of hand washing, because that saves quite a bit of time. That's how I make it work for me and my family. I buy organic celery from Costco in large amounts because then I don't have to replenish my stock of celery every few days at the grocery store. Because it does, you do have to go through quite a bit, especially if you're making it for more than just yourself. So, and the luckily now Costco has organic. They've seen that the market, there are people buying a lot of celery. I mean, I buy what? Those are pretty big packages, probably 6 at a time, 7 at a time, and sometimes the cashier's like, "What are you doing with all the celery?" But now they already know. They're like, "Oh, you're a juicer." And I'm like, "Yep." So it's become pretty known. So I'm very happy that Costco, thank you Costco for stocking organic celery. And it's all cut and clean and trimmed. The leaves are trimmed off and it's just like ready to go. So that helps me do it faster. But of course, for years I was buying from just whatever grocery store I was at. I would just buy all the celery, but it does take longer to break it apart, clean the dirt off, trim the leaves off. You can juice the leaves, by the way. It just gives it a way more bitter taste. But truly, the stalk is the part that you do want to juice. Um, so there are ways to make it work in your schedule. I think we all have things that we prioritize that are important to us, and this is one that's very important to me and many others that have healed themselves. So with that, let me tell you why celery. I was going to tell you, and I got so excited I went past my point. Why celery? Well, like I said, it's got a high amount of vitamin C in it, and your body absorbs this vitamin C better than most other sources of vitamin C, goes straight to your bloodstream. It is an antiviral, antibacterial herb. So, right there, that tells you something that I learned a lot about from medical medium. I kind of spoke about this earlier. Those viruses that live deep down in your liver. That's why one of his books is called The Liver Rescue. You have so many toxins. Think of all the things that you eat, with pesticides and hormones and chemicals, and then all the things you breathe, all the things you put onto your skin, all the things that are in our air, just toxic chemicals. We can't really get around it in this life. It's just the way it is. So, thank goodness for celery. That helps flush that stuff out of your body. It cleanses you, literally. That's why people juice, right? Not just having to juice with your lunch, but people that do true juicing cleanses, right? Because it's cleaning out your body. Well, you could save a lot of time and a lot of money and just celery juice instead of doing these, in my opinion, these quick 7-day cleanses, and then you go back to your unhealthy lifestyle. It's really best, and I'll probably get some heat for this because I do know there's a lot of people that like to do those. And again, it's not hurting you. It's great. It's great to drink juice. I'm not knocking the juice. I'm not knocking you for doing a 7-day cleanse, but this is a lifestyle. This is something that you need to be doing consistently to make a difference in your life. You might feel good after the cleanse. It's a short-term cleanse, but again, the next day you're going and eating all your junk food and wine and all those things, which by the way, I'm not perfect. I enjoy those things too. But I do my celery juicing every day so that it balances out some of that stuff. Um, the 7-day cleanse, great, but then you're just back on the 8th day to your normal lifestyle, and then your body doesn't have that same vitamins and minerals coming in. So this is again not a trend, not a quick cleanse. This is a lifestyle, and it is a daily cleanse. It's an opportunity to give your body those vitamins, nutrients, and cleansing properties that it needs help with, since we do live in such a toxic, unavoidable world. So that's another reason to do it, is just it's cleaning out all the crap that we eat and consume. He talks a lot about heavy metals and how we have so many toxic heavy metals in our lives. I mean, it's in fluoride is technically a heavy metal, so you're getting exposure to that in your toothpaste, at the dentist, fluoride treatments in your water, unless you're drinking fluoride water. But we eat off of spoons and knives and cook in pots and pans. We cook with foil. Again, it's unavoidable. I'm not trying to be negative Nancy here. It's just the world we live in. It's convenience, and we have a lot of chemicals and toxic metals and things that are around us, and that's okay. Try to eliminate when you can, but if you can't eliminate it, celery juice really can help you filter out those heavy metals. So I know this is a lot of information, so I appreciate if you're still here hanging tight. basically summarizing a lot of what he's covered over the years. And I'm just winging this, by the way. I don't have notes in front of me. There's oftentimes I'll have notes with bullet points. I've talked about it so much and I know so much about it that I have this all crammed in my brain, and that's why it's not necessarily organized right now. So I do apologize for that, but I'm just trying to get as much information out that I can to you. So, knowing that we have heavy metals in our body that are toxic to us, which, by the way, can cause a lot of problems. If you listen to some of his podcasts, he can explain it more in depth. But people that have a lot of autoimmunes and other problems in their bodies because they have a high heavy metal content. And honestly, that could be one reason that I had all this fatigue is because I have tattoos. I think I have enough tattoos on my body to potentially give me some of those side effects, potentially fatigue, because a lot of tattoo ink does have metals in it. So some more newer inks actually do have less or no metals in them, but a lot of the older tattoo artists and tattoos do have metals that have been absorbed into your skin. So that could honestly be one of the reasons that I had some of those issues. So heavy metals in our bodies, we all have them. It's just some of us have higher levels. And then back to the viruses and the bacteria. Pathogens, we all have them in our body all the time. Some are dormant, some are active, but we don't know it and we're fighting it off. Or you have a cold or a flu or whatever, you have a virus. I mean, cancer's a virus, right? Or mono is a real bad one that can stick around, come back later too, kind of like strep. There's people that have had mono, can actually do damage to your body long term. And there's people that will suffer, from other ailments because they had mono. So another example of it being dormant in your body. So knowing that we all have these things in our bodies, basically medical medium and so many other healers, their theory is this is what's making so many of us so sick. Because again, we have all these little health problems and most of us go to the doctor, you get a prescription and it kind of goes away. But sometimes things come back or they don't get better or you have to stay on a prescription forever. None of those options are great. You don't really want to live on, if you don't have to, again, if you have to and it's life threatening, of course, but if you're healthy, you don't really want to like start on medication and have to take that for the rest of your life. If ideally you can help it. And again, if you have to, I'm not knocking that. It's just many of us don't necessarily need to do that. We can make some changes in our life. It's just you have to figure out what it is. And that's the whole problem is modern medicine can oftentimes not figure out the deeper reason why you have problems. Acne, it's treated, if you have severe acne, Accutane, which is incredibly hard on your liver, incredibly hard on your body, dries you out. Um, it's fine. I have friends that have used it and that's great. I'm not trying to be negative. It's just, it's very hard on your body. If you can clean it out in a more natural way and you have the ability to do so and the resources to get the celery and juice, obviously a little bit a healthier way to do that. So there are ways to heal yourself and it is possible to not have to be on medication for many people. So the reason that so many people have all these ailments, many undiagnosed autoimmunes, is because they have high viral loads or bacterial loads in their bodies, deep, deep within. Some of this stuff can't even be picked up on certain basic tests or blood panels or, whatever. I mean, even with COVID, right? We know it's controversial, but even most people will admit, even if they're totally like for all the testing and everything, there's false negatives. There just are. So think about that within your body. If you have things going on, it's hard to pick that up on a blood draw or doctors, specialists. It's hard to know why you have lupus. It's hard to know why you have like all these muscular issues or chronic fatigue syndrome or, brain fog or whatever. Why do you have that? I don't know, but we're going to give you some things to make you feel better. Band-aid approach. So, celery juice has healed so many people that have had all of these undiagnosed autoimmunes. And by the way, I'm not the one making this up. Medical medium has talked about this. Our bodies were meant to feel good. We were meant to be healthy. And we're not feeling great a lot of the time now. And again, some people listening that are younger um, might be like, I feel fine. I'm healthy. I'm going to the gym. Like I'm young. But likely at some point, something's going to pop up in your life. And, you know, we have to, I don't know, I just be humble. If you're feeling healthy, you can't like relate to this podcast, you don't have any issues, great. But again, I'd say most people at some point have had something wrong going on in their life. Um, so and even if it's just that you get sick often every year, or you or your child's getting ear infections all the time, or whatever minor things you might not be thinking I have a chronic disease, but so many people do have chronic diseases and they can't figure out why. Likely, I really believe it with all my heart. Medical medium is saying you have a high viral load or a high heavy metal toxic load in your body. And this is what's super interesting is things that we eat too, like gluten or dairy, all the really delicious things that I love, trust me. Those things fuel viruses. Viruses eat those up and they thrive in an environment with gluten or dairy, heavy metals. Love those things too. So it's kind of a recipe for disaster. I think a lot of us are pretty aware of it's kind of controversial too, but like the gluten allergies or the celiacs on the rise, or people with, cutting gluten out and noticing their eczema is going away. I've been trying to my hardest to eliminate dairy. It's so hard for me because I love cheese, but I've been eating like these vegan yogurts. They're actually pretty good. I'm cutting out dairy just to experiment, and I think that my skin has improved since I've done that. So, still working on the cheese, but you know, our diets and all these high viral loads, it's a bad combination. And the heavy metals is really what I think is making most of us sick, whether it's something insignificant. Well, it's not insignificant if you have cystic acne or eczema and it's bothering you, but that's obviously like more manageable than if you had something or you're bedridden, like an autoimmune where you literally can't function. So there's a range, is my point. And this is where celery juice comes in. Our livers are holding all this crap, all this viruses and bacteria and pathogens, our gut. Celery juice. There are sodium cluster salts in celery. Those blast and kill the pathogens out of your body. So remember earlier when I said it's antiviral, antibacterial, which would explain why my husband and I haven't been sick since we started it. That's pretty powerful just in itself. And it would explain medical medium's theory of we're all very filled with, well, not all of us, but a lot of people are filled with a lot of viral, high viral levels, lots of bacteria, dormant viruses and bacteria, bacterial infections that we've had, and heavy metals. And then when you take celery juice you have to do it consistently for a while, and then you're healing. That's why. So his theory is pretty spot on to me. And viruses have shells around them to protect them, to keep them alive. Celery juice blasts that shell into pieces and basically dominates it. And then it can't survive in your body. So it's like that's what it truly is, cleansing your body of these viruses and bacteria that are making you sick. And I've mentioned acne a few times. A lot of people don't realize this. When you have something on your skin, again, this is like our band aid approach industry, right? You have acne, you get a medicine to put topically on your skin. Where do you think that is coming from, though? That's coming from, because we all know if you pop a zit, like pus comes out. It's kind of gross, right? But it's bacteria. Sometimes it might be topically if you're sweating and you don't wash your face. Sure, of course, you can get pimples and things. But people that have like true cystic acne, or even if you're just getting a ton of zits, it could be from this. But you have an imbalance in your body. It's coming from within your body outward into your skin. So you don't just, a lot of people don't realize like eczema, same thing. It's like, it's not just topically on top of your skin. You have some issue and irritation. It's coming from out. Your body is literally like, ew, I have all this sick viral bacterial stuff in my body. I need to get it out. And it's coming out on the top layer of your skin. It's actually fascinating. So again, it's just, you have to treat the root cause of it, not just put cream on your face. You need to look within your body and heal it. And so that's why celery juice is healing so many people. It's going deep within and killing off all this crap that we have that's presenting itself in different symptoms. Mine happened to be fatigue, which is so general and so hard to treat because that could literally be any condition. You go Google any disease or any issue, you may be fatigued. So it's like, how do you treat that? So that's why this has helped so many people when doctors haven't been able to help. And bless their hearts, they do wonderful things for people every day. I'm not saying they don't, but it's hard to treat, systemic issues, autoimmune issues. That's why it's called an autoimmune. We don't know. We just say your body's attacking itself. We don't really know why. But yet celery juice is able to heal people. Explain probably there's maybe high viral loads in their body, high bacterial loads, high heavy metals, and their specific body isn't doing well with that. Some people can live a more normal life with some of those loads, others not so much. There could be other factors, but one of the things he says, medical medium, it says we were not meant to feel sick and unhealthy, and our bodies weren't meant to attack itself. And so that's when people call it an autoimmune. Your body's attacking itself. He kind of talks about that's not really a fair way to define it. I mean, our body was not made to attack itself. We were made to heal and live. It doesn't mean we don't come across ailments or diseases or have issues. And there are genetic things that you can pick up, yes. But typically, our body wasn't supposed to just attack itself. That's not how we were designed. And so, even if it's labeled an autoimmune, it's just because we don't really know how to treat it and we don't really know why. It's probably because some of these things, it's possible that it is because you have some things deep within your body and your body's reacting. Now, this can get pretty like deep and scientific. And again, I'm not a doctor, but it's just something to think about. Everyone's going to have a different situation, a different experience, different levels of an autoimmune. But there are people that have had Crohn's, which is labeled an autoimmune, that have treated themselves with celery juice. And I have friends that have Crohn's, and I'm not saying you just go off your medicine and you do that, but it's something to explore if you want to. You have to do it very carefully because it can aggravate your symptoms as you ramp up. You have to do it very smart. So do it with a professional. But there are people that I'm watching, hundreds of people on Medical Medium's page that have had autoimmunes and Crohn's and have basically healed themselves, or at least 50 to 70% feel way better. So it's worth looking into if you do have an autoimmune. It's definitely worth looking into. So these sodium cluster salts are what's healing people. That's why you have to do celery, and it has to be alone, and it has to be juiced. It has to be consumed every day. That's why celery juice is a thing. That's why it's so healing. Is these sodium cluster salts are hydrating your body deeper than pretty much anything you can ever drink besides water. It's hydrating you at a cellular level. It's got one of the most, potent, powerful forms of vitamin C in it that your bloodstream can just automatically uh, absorb. Unlike an orange, like it would take a lot longer go through your body, it has to be filtered out, and then you absorb what's left. Not saying an orange is bad, it's just this whole herb. So I know we've covered a lot. I'll probably cut this, short soon here. It's been almost an hour. There's just so much to say about it, but that's just kind of my summary. And I'll tell you a little bit just of like my journey and how long it took me. Again, if you read his books and you watch people, you can learn about this, but it's pretty consistent. He told, I was watching some of his stories and his podcast, and he kind of tells you what to expect. If you're thinking about doing it, you're not going to see results necessarily right away. So hang tight. If this is something you decide you want to try and you want to commit to, it honestly took me probably 2.5 to almost 3 months to really see a difference with the fatigue, because that was a very intense symptom that I believe is very deep down in my body, my liver. Epstein-Barr virus is my guess. I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure. And just based on some other things that I've had pop up in my life, that rash and some other things, I'm pretty sure I had that present in my body, and I was experiencing major, major fatigue because of it. Some people say they can notice changes in a couple weeks. Um, I will say, even just with like your restroom usage, if you will, and I had friends that have started celery juicing and drinking it, and they're like, "Whoa, man! I mean, you drink that juice, and you got to go to the restroom in 5 minutes. It's good at keeping that regular. It cleans you out, just like any juice cleanse would. But it's so powerful, right? It's a lot of celery juice that you're drinking, and it just cleans you out, which is obviously great, keeping you regular. That's obviously something that's very important for our health and our colons. Um, so it can take some time. Some people start to feel some things within the first few weeks, but it can take a couple months to 3 months. If you have something more serious and chronic, it can really take time to clean it out. And if you have stuff that's been living in you for years, think about that. It has to go in and find all the viruses and bacteria in your liver and your gut, like I said earlier, and clean that out. It can take time. So be patient. If you have something, give it a few months, please, because it does take time. But then once you feel better, oh my gosh, it's so worth it. So give it time. Ideally, you want to be drinking about 16 ounces to 32 ounces, depending on one, how much you want to make, and two, like the severity of your ailment, if you will. If you have like a major issue and it's going to take you a long time to cleanse, medical medium does recommend doing 32 ounces. I do 16. I've always done 16. It's worked for me. It's about a ball jar filled with celery juice, just to help you imagine if you don't really know your ounces well, 16 ounces. Um, and if you do 32, it'd be 2 ball jars. You could drink one in the morning, one in the afternoon, or all at once. And basically, you want to do it, like I said, every day if you can. Every other day works too. And for it to work the best, it's recommended to do it first thing in the morning, which I actually find helpful, not only for the health benefit, but too just time wise. If I don't do it in the morning, it's harder for me to make sure I get it done, because then you get going on your day and you're busy, and then you get home and from work or you're whatever you're doing and you're tired, or you got to make dinner, and then it's like the day's done and you don't make it. So I do find making it first thing in the morning is really helpful. It's like a routine. So first thing in the morning, because you're supposed to do it on empty stomach, and it absorbs into your body the best if you don't have anything else in your body. That's why earlier when I said you should make it and juice it alone with nothing else in it, it's because the other things you might want to put in it, like carrots or apples or ginger or whatever you want to mix, actually conflict chemically with the sodium cluster salts and make them less effective. So a lot of people ask, well, can I put something else in it to make it taste better? Or it's healthy to put an apple in. If you want to make celery juice with apple, great. Like do that for another time, or carrots and all your fun things, like make juices. But if you're doing it for the healing properties, you do want it to be alone, because it does work the best when it's alone. So let's review that. So 16 to 32 ounces, depending on your commitment and also your ailment. If you have something very, very more serious, having more can help you. But at least minimum 16 ounces every day if possible, in the morning, first thing with no food. Should try to wait 20 to 30 minutes after before you eat because again, you don't want any of the food mixing with the celery. It can kind of cancel it out and not make it work as effectively. And just celery by itself, remember that, plain, and it has to be juiced, not blended. If you do blend it and you don't have a juicer, you can use like a cheesecloth and like strain out the pulp, but that's, to me, it's just more messy, more work. So if you are going to commit, I would do it with the juicer. And I think those are the main kind of like rules around making it work the best for you. Yeah, that's pretty much the basics on that. So, wow, I know we've talked a lot today about a lot, but it is truly an amazing herb. It has changed my life. I don't battle daily fatigue. My life, my quality of life has improved so much. And like I said, with health being so important, if your quality of life can improve, why wouldn't you want to invest some extra time to take care of yourself? We are all so busy. I know that. And I don't know. I think we need to spend more time investing in our health and how we feel. And it's been the best thing that I've done for my health in my life. And I will continue to do it. I will tell people to look into it and educate people on it because I know what it's done for me. It's done for so many others. And we all deserve to feel good. Our bodies are meant to feel good, meant to be healthy. And we live in a world that, it's difficult to be here right now. There's a lot of stuff that's working against us. I'm not trying to be negative, I'm being real. There's just a lot of chemicals out there and it's hard to avoid. And so celery juice is something that can help filter all that out and make us feel a lot better and possibly, could help save your life or at least change the quality of your life. And to me, I mean, that's the goal, right? Is to have the most enjoyable life you can while we're here. So I'm forever grateful for medical medium for dedicating his life to writing these books. And he's a character. Go on his podcasts. He has a lot to say about a lot of different things that you can do to heal. But celery juice is his main, gig, if you will. I mean, most people know him because he's the celery juice guy. So I'm grateful for him for dedicating his life to write books and sharing information to people because it truly has healed so many people. It makes me so happy to go on his page and see all the people that have dedicated, you know, every morning to making their celery juice and they've completely healed when they had no hope. And again, when I talk about modern medicine, it's not me trying to be negative against doctors. I think doctors are phenomenal and they're out there helping people. So please do not take that the wrong way. It's just that our science hasn't done enough research on the deep, dark, crevasses of our livers and where these bacteria and pathogens live, viruses live, and maybe haven't necessarily correlated it to all these autoimmune disorders and all of these conditions. And so it's becoming more known and more studied. I think we've learned a lot in the last, 5 years, 10 years on like our gut biome and all of that. But, just sadly, just with lack of time, lack of resources, it's just easier for a quick band-aid approach. And many of us, the people that don't even have access to healthcare or specialty doctors, um, it's we still have a long way to go in that realm. So I'm just so grateful that there are healing foods that were put on this planet to heal us, and this is one of them. And once you start juicing it, you'll never look at it the same. It's the most amazing herb. So I'm forever grateful. It's changed my life. It's changed so many people's lives. I wouldn't have spent an hour of my life sitting here talking about it if it hadn't helped me. And I hope that this helps you or helps someone that you know. It's absolutely wonderful. It's a fantastic natural way to heal your body in many many different avenues. It can heal people in many different ways. So trying to think if there's anything else I want to add in closing. I think I've covered the basics. I've covered a lot. But I do encourage you, if you're interested in doing it, to follow Medical Medium on social media or look him up, buy his books, rent his books at the library, do whatever you have to do the research. But I'm here to say it's worked for me and my husband. And I just hope that you've learned something today. Um, and I will say, lastly, if you do decide to do this, one tip that he gave is start slow. Don't just chug 16 ounces of celery juice out of nowhere. It's quite a shock to your body. It's a pretty strong tonic, and if you're not used to it, it can be intense. And also remember, it is a cleanse, so it's pulling the toxins out of your body. That can make you feel pretty rough if you just slam, that much at once. Excuse me, and your body's not used to it. So start slow, do a quarter of a glass for a few days, half a glass for a few days. Work your way up to maybe over like a week, and then add, try your 16 ounces. And just know that you might experience some discomfort or some symptoms might come outward. That was something that I read, in his notes, that he said, you might get some stomach cramping at first, or some people get upset stomachs, or your bowel movements might be a little different. Again, anyone who's juiced knows that will just run through you. So expect some changes there, but your body gets used to it. And so if you start slow, you're more likely to not have, like a reaction like that. Um, and something interesting that happened to me, I said I had some eczema pop up in my life on my like elbows and different places here and there, would just come and go. And I never really had it on my face. Well, about a month in of celery juicing, I was starting to get eczema patches on my face. And so that just proves right there. People remember, I said, where's the data? Where's the science behind it? I don't need science. It's proven. I literally have struggled with eczema on my body over the years. I'm drinking celery juice to get rid of it because I believe it's coming from within my body and coming outward into my skin, like I said before. I start drinking something that's supposed to help heal me and cleanse me. Well, all that stuff that was in my body was coming out on my face. I'd never had eczema on my face, and then it went away, and I've never had it since. So it was literally pulling the crap that was in my body out onto my skin. So, and now I don't have it. It cleared it out of my body. Like, it's magic. It's so exciting. I love this stuff. So that's the science. That's the research. Try it for yourself. Sometimes things don't have to necessarily be studied. If it's safe and you're doing it and it works, we should start a study. Let's do a celery juice study. I love this to be used, worldwide. It is, but I'd love for it to be more recognized. So to think, something natural on our earth, that's what I guess makes me so upset, is people rely on pharmaceuticals or drugs way too much when there are healing things on this planet that were put here to heal us, like celery. It's so possible to heal naturally, but yet we reach for the pills, or we reach for the drugs. And again, sometimes you have to, but I'm saying in times where you don't have to and you can treat yourself naturally, if you improve your diet and you commit to something like celery juicing, it is so possible to heal naturally. And it's becoming more common, but you know, some things don't necessarily always have to be scientifically backed. I would love for science to back celery juice and have it researched, but is it really that odd to think that something natural was put here to heal us? No, if you really think about it in that sense, it's kind of like, oh yeah, of course. Like, things that were growing natural in this earth were made for us to consume and heal us. We made drugs. Those are man-made synthetic things that our bodies weren't actually supposed to be ingesting. You know, they've saved life, but they also really do a lot of damage internally. So I guess that's kind of my response to anyone who's like doubting this, or, the people that make mean comments on, you know, celery juice posts. It's natural. It's here for us. Like, what about that is controversial? If you're doing it smartly, I'm not saying you drop all medical care if you have a serious issue, but for many Americans that are just struggling with things day to day, like I said, I think it's pretty, seems rational to me. So I don't think it should be controversial if it's something that's, grown naturally here for us. So, anyways, as you can tell, I'm very passionate about it. And I'm happy that it's touched so many people's lives. It makes me so happy. And I hope that continues to do so. I think it will. I don't think it's going away. So if your symptoms get worse before they get better, expect that, but start slow so it's not too much on your body. And it can take some time. Remember, if you have that stuff in you for years dormant, it takes time to flush that out. So give it a chance. I think that's all I've got for you guys. This is a long one, and I'm really excited to have shared this with you. It's like the telephone game. I'm just regurgitating what I've learned from medical medium. So if someone hears this, but they don't know who he is, well, now you do, right? So I learned from a blogger that I followed years ago. She was talking about her celery juicing and she tagged medical medium because she posted that. My life has changed. Like that in itself is so cool. Some fashion blogger that I follow posted about medical medium and how she celery juices. I went to the page, checked it out, decided to commit to it. It's changed my life. And now here I am talking about it, and I can only hope if it only helps one person, I feel like I've done my job. So how cool to like heal together and share something so simple as celery, but yet it has such a profound magical effect on healing our bodies. So with that, I will close, friends. I wish you nothing but the best. I wish you happy healing. I hope that you try celery juice if you have an ailment or you know someone that does. It is possible for us to heal, and everyone's journey is different, but it's absolutely possible. And I think with changes like this, where we can introduce more natural remedies, I think slowly but surely we can heal our sick nation and sick world. Um, our bodies were meant to feel good, and there are things here to make us feel good. So if you've been struggling, I dedicate this to you. I know what it feels like to struggle and not feel good. I think a lot of people know. And it's very stressful and it's super hard to go through life not feeling well. So there are options and there are things to try. So stay positive, and I hope that this can heal you or someone you know, like it's helped me and others, millions of people. We were meant to feel healthy. Don't ever let someone tell you any different. We live in a world with a lot going on and a lot against us. It's just the reality of it. But there's still a chance to rise above that and feel good. So I dedicate this to you. I hope that you can heal and feel good. You deserve that. There is hope. There is hope out there. So let's get to juicing, friends. Let's do this. Thank you for listening. You can find me on Instagram at Lauren.live. Lauren.live is my website. You can find all the platforms that my podcast is listed on. I have a YouTube channel. I have a little celery juice video up as well, but it pretty much says the same stuff that I touched here. touched here on, but if you want to send that, it's a little shorter. Uh, as a visual, I have the celery juice and all that fun stuff. So hop on over, say hello on my Instagram. I would love to engage. I can answer any more questions that you have on celery juicing. And again, thank you, Medical Medium, for all the work that you're doing. Healed millions, as your book says, but I believe it. The work is truly incredible. So thank you from deep down in my heart for helping heal me, but I know that you've done this for so many other people, and it's just the most exciting thing that something as simple as celery can do so much and change people's lives. All right, everybody. Talk to you soon.